Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So for day 2 of my 7 Days of Christmas series for 2018, I found some little Christmas ornaments. These were supposed to be kind of like gift tags. That one was a little bauble. There's a little blue reindeer. And there's a little green Christmas tree. And there's also a little snowflake. So, snowflake. So what I thought I would do is I would utilise these. Now I've got 2 of each, so I've actually got 8. 2 of each design of these little wooden laser cut plywood. And they've been obviously painted first and then laser cut because you can see the burn marks on one side. So I thought what I would do is I would create some artist trading coins with these because they're big enough to fit. This is a 2.5-inch circle and they're going to be just perfect to sit as a kind of focal point for an artist trading coin, which is 2.5 inches in diameter. Or that seems to be the consensus of size that people like to create. So what I'm going to do is have some watercolour cardstock that I'm going to paint up, and we're going to do like a mixed media kind of background, and then I'm going to paint each one of those little embellishments to add onto the artist trading coin. So I'm going to switch over to my overhead camera and I will let you watch the process of what I'm doing. Okay, so this is my watercolour cardstock. It's actually hot pressed, so it's actually kind of nice and smooth. There's no texture to it at all. And it's about 300 GSM, which is about 140 pound in weight. So it's going to hold the colour that I'm adding onto this pretty well. Now I've just got this little polypropylene sheet that I'm going to be using just to make sure I'm not getting any mess onto my craft mat underneath. So I'm going to start off with some nice kind of wintry colours. So I've got my indigo blue Kingfisher blue paint. Now this is a beautiful kind of metallic blue, almost like a peacock colour, although it is called Kingfisher. Let's get rid of those little blobs that have just fallen out. I've got a paintbrush here, just to one side. That's been sitting in some water, and I'm going to grab a little bit of this paint. You can see it is quite thick. And I'm just going to add some onto my craft mat, grab a little bit of water, and that's going to, I don't know whether you can see the mica in the paint, just start to separate a little bit. So we're going to create our background. Now I'm going to do this kind of really haphazard all over the page in horizontal and vertical brush strokes because I want it to be very kind of mottled, abstracty, and if I haven't got enough, I'm just going to create a little bit more paint, darker in some areas, lighter in others. I will be punching out my 2.5-inch circles from this watercolour cardstock for my backgrounds, so it doesn't really make any difference really, because I'm just going to punch out from the back. So it's not like it's going to be one complete piece at the end. So I'll just take a little bit of the darker paint with no water, just to add some darker interest. A bit more opaque in some areas. Okay, so that should do it for the blue. Need to get this dried off really quickly. You can see already the shine on that background. It's going to look amazing. So let's get that dry and I'll be right back. Okay, so my Kingfisher blue paint is now dry on that background. Now obviously the light and the shine is making it difficult to see, but if I tilt it you can see pretty much the pattern that I've got just by using that brush in that background. Now I want to add some stamping to this. Now I don't particularly want anything which is coherent or legible, that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using an old indigo blue stamp. This is just called Script, and it has some like handwriting on it that you can't really read. It's a really cool stamp to have just with, say, this way up. Not that it makes that much difference because you can't actually really read it, but it just, some of the letters you can definitely see are Like there's a H there and a D there and a Y there, so you know there is an up and a down, but it doesn't really make any difference. So I've got some watering can archival ink. So this is a grey colour, which I think is going to go really well with that blue. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink it up. And I'm not even going to bother trying to get an even impression, but I'm just going to go like so. And that's going to sit in the background. So I'm going to go all over the page. See, I've actually got gaps in it there. Not an exact science. Doing mixed media work like this isn't an exact science. He says dropping it in his lap. That's probably one of the better reasons, one of the better than English gone. One of the better reasons for actually having it on an acrylic block, because it's easier to handle and doesn't squish. In fact, let's do that because I'm obviously not being very dexterous today. There we go. An acrylic block. Let's see whether that works any better. Whether I can handle it any better. Let's see if it's going to stick. That's more like it. We're having one of those days, aren't we? But never mind. It's not going to be legible at the end anyway, so. Oh, the trials and tribulations of doing real-time videos. Doesn't matter if we go over the top. And one more at the top there, I think. There we go. So I've covered the entire base with that script stamp. I don't know why it's not sticking. It's obviously got a bit dried out because I haven't used it in a while. There you go. These things happen. Just clear off that ink from my hand and from my mat. Okay, so just need to make sure this is dry before moving on to the next step. So I shall just give that a quick blast. And then once it's dry, I will be with you in a few shakes. Okay, so everything's now nice and dry. I want to mix up on my craft mat some silver paint. So again, I'm going with indigo blue. This time I have the Vodka Martini Metallic Silver. So I'm just going to take some of that paint, and I have my fan brush. So I'm going to grab some of that silver paint. Just add that down onto the craft mat, grab my water, just a couple of spritzes, mix that water in, and then I'm going to start to add splatters all over the page. Just randomly. Just stop some of those splatters from going all over my computer screen and my jeans. And then we need any more. Just add some more water. So that's going to sit on top of that stamping. So that's going to knock that back into the background a little bit. That should do us. Let me see if I can just pick that up and show you. There you go, you can see the splatters in the background, very, very subtle. So I need to get that dried off now, get this cleaned up because I want to add another layer before we move any further. Okay, now the silver's dry, we're going to do exactly the same thing with some gold. So I don't often mix silver and gold on a project because I think gold is warmer, so it really needs to go with reds. Blues, I normally stick with silver, but this time I'm going to add some of the warmer gold together with the silver. So I'm kind of breaking one of my own rules here, but with mixed media and art journaling, there are no rules. except those we make for ourselves. There's a good line for you to quote. Right, so let's grab some of that gold paint. There's a lump in that bit there, so let's get rid of that. I think my indigo blue gold paint is about 3 years old. So I'm not surprised I've got a few lumps in it. There we go. Right, let's get that mixed up. So we've got a nice bit of consistency there, so let's start adding our gold splatters. Let's get some down in this corner. Don't mind if there's a few larger blobs on this. This is more in the foreground. That's cool. And that'll do. Okay, so again, I now need to get all this dry. So I'm going to just repeat that process. First of all, cleaning off my hands because I managed to get paint all over it. There we go. That way I don't transfer that paint colour anywhere I shouldn't. Okay, just move that to one side and then bring out the heat gun and let's get it dried. Okay, so that is pretty much dry. So what I'm going to do is you can see the gold just picked out there. It's still nice and shiny with that beautiful shimmer in the background. I'm going to put this to one side now because I want to start working on my little ornaments. So I've got bauble, reindeer, crimbly tree and the snowflake. And like I said before, I've got 2 each of these. But what I'm going to do is, because I've done gold and silver splatters in the background for the coins, I'm going to paint one set in gold and one set in silver. So I've still got out that gold paint from indigo blue. I've just got this little small, it's a bit of a tautology, isn't it? I've got a small paintbrush and I'm just going to go over and give them a little bit of a coating. Now, I don't know how well this gold paint is going to cover. I might need to do a couple of coats, particularly over where it's already painted, like the green. That's fine, because if the green's showing through, that's kind of cool. So I may not do a second coat on that one. Just even get round it to the top. I don't want to take the baker's twine off. I want to leave that on because I like it. I think it's going to add a nice little bit of festive colour. There we go. Kind of like that. So it may take a couple of coats. Like I said, I may just leave the one. Who knows? I'll see what it looks like when it's dry. So I'm going to go ahead and paint these, and then after I've done this set I will do the other set in silver, because I don't think there's any point in you sitting and watching me just do that repetitive process. The only thing that's going to change is going to be the colour. So it's not going to be that much different. Oh, it's better on the red, isn't it? Much better on the red. That shows really well. Okay, I'm going to get off and just finish these off, and then I'll be right back when I've done all 8. 4 in the gold and the 4 in the silver. Okay, so all of the shapes now are all painted, so you've got the 4 in the gold and the 4 in the silver. So some of them are covered better than others. This one looks really, really cool. And I'm just thinking about it while I was doing these. Obviously, if you're going to do something similar and you don't have silver or gold paint, but you do have gold or silver embossing powders, then they'll work in just the same way. And also, if you have gold or silver metallic inks, or even those pens, you know, the metallic pens, you could cover those your shapes in those two, and it would work exactly the same. It's just what I had to hand, and of course you don't really think about what else you've got while doing a project like this. You just use the first thing that comes into your head, and I've used paint. So there you go. Okay, so I'm just going to put those to one side now because I'm ready to start punching out my shapes from my previous sheet. So I know I can get at least 12 out of an A4 sheet of the 2.5-inch circles. I only need 8. So I'm just going to literally position and punch wherever I can get around the outside, and then stop when I get to 8. That's 4, 5, 6. I think I'll cut a little bit off that one because I wouldn't mind having a little bit more of that blue on show. So I'll just remove that bit at the bottom. 7 and 8. Cool. So now I've got my 8 backgrounds all punched out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. I've already pre-printed my backs, which I've also already pre-printed and punched out. I've actually got a stack of these. I did loads in one go. I did about half a dozen sheets and just sat and punched them all out. So when I needed them, I just take them off. I just keep them in a little tin. You know, like one of those Tim Holtz trinket tins. I just keep them in one of those. So whenever I need one, I just take one out. So I've got 8 of those. There we go. So what I want to do is grab some glue. I'm going to attach one of the backs to each of the coins, and that's also going to help stiffen it up and thicken it. And hopefully, because I've got a little bit of wiggle room on each of these, I'll be able to get it at least approximating the right way up. Turn it until I think I've got it. There we go. And I'm just going to repeat the process on all 8. So that's 1. In fact, it might actually be easier if I just do it. Let's see. That's up. There we go. That's going to be easier. So much easier doing it that way. Because I've used the same punch for each one of these, obviously they're going to be the exact same size. They're just going to need a little bit of time just to dry. I'm going to put those over there. A bit of a squish. There is a little bit of wiggle room. I could have used double-sided adhesive. Again, there's about 1,000,001 different ways in which you can do this. You just choose the one which is good for you. Okay, so you've seen me do 3. There's no point you hanging around and watching me do the same repetitive process over and over again, because I've still got those 5 to do. So I will carry on and I will join with you again when I've done the rest of these 5. Okay, so those are my 8 ATCs. They've now all got the backs stuck down and they are actually pretty thick. But as you can see, they've all got nice, well, they've got white lines all the way around. That one's not quite glued down just yet. But look at that one. I've gone around the edge just with that watering can ink again, just to kind of tone down the white. So I'm going to do the same thing on all 8. So I'm just loading up some ink and I'm just going to go around and just get rid of a little bit of that stark white edge. And that just helps to kind of blend it and tone it a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on all 8 of the coins. So again, you've just seen me do 3. Well, 2 and 1 I've already done. Not going to be doing anything different to all the others. So you've seen 1, seen them all. So I will carry on and I'll be back with you in a second. Okay, so every single one is now done. So they've all had their edges. I've just gone round just to darken those edges up a bit. So now we're going to bring our little charms back in. I don't think we need that polypropylene mat anymore, do we? And then we can start to play about with the positioning of where we're going to stick them down now. And to stick them down, I'm going to use some little sticky dots, some little foam dots. So I've got these from, somebody sent me these in Happy Mail recently. I'm sorry, I can't remember who sent them, but there are some small ones, different sizes, but very small ones on there, and I think they're going to be perfect just to put on the back of each one. So let's see how this is going to work. Right in the centre. Not an exact science. Here we go. So peel the top of that one, put one of the coins, pop it in the middle. Hehe, like it, like it, like it. Okay, so that's one. Let's do the other circle. Now, I know you're going to be able to see the dot through the centre hole on these, and probably on the Christmas tree as well, but that's okay, because I'm going to be doing one more other thing to them. But let's just drop this one down on there too. Looking kind of cool. Right, so I need to now add one of these little dots to the back of all of the others. Again, so you've seen me do these couple. And obviously I'm conscious of the time for the length of the video, so I'll just jump to the end when I've stuck all of my little embellishments down onto my coins. Okay, so I've got all of my little wooden embellishments now stuck onto my ATCs. As you can see, you can't actually see the foam pad through the embellishment, so that's really, really good news. So I just want to finish off each one now. Now I've printed off on my computer just one single word, which, you know, has a kind of Christmassy kind of theme to it. I did notice, by the way, that when I painted these, I had actually painted one the other way around, purely by accident, but I think it looks kind of cute anyway. So what I've got is I've got these words, single words that I've printed off on my computer, and I'm just going to trim them out using my Tim Holtz scissors. I printed them onto a little bit of cardstock just so I had a little bit of rigidity to it. So I'm going to probably just trim them out a little bit as I'm going along to make them fit. And then we've got over here, just deciding which one's going to go with which as I'm trimming them out. think that one can go with that one. Let's see what else we've got. That's blank, that's blank. Rudolph obviously needs to be with one of the reindeers. So let's stick him on that one there, and then we have, there we go, have the word believe. So I think we'll add that one with the other reindeer, because we all believe in Father Christmas and his little reindeers. And then the others, we have Christmas, and then on that one we'll have the word peace, and on this one we'll have the word rejoice. Rejoice. To joyce somebody again. To rejoice them. And I think we'll just bring that one down so it just touches maybe across. Oh, actually, maybe put that underneath. I haven't decided whether to put those two underneath there like that. Yeah, that looks okay. I think I'll put the rest on top. So let's get rid of all these bits. Now all I'm going to do, just to stick these down, is I'm just going to grab my, well, I've got a little bottle of glossy accents, just one of the small bottles of glossy accents. I was going to say globby accents then, but that's completely wrong, isn't it? And then I'm just going to put a little bead just on the back, and then just drop it on. I think that's going to do it really. I could vary it and put them underneath like I have done with these. Do we think it looks better? Yeah, because it doesn't detract away from it. Now because I've got glossy accents on the back there, that's not actually going to affect much because it's still shiny. That will still stick. There we go. See, this is the thing when you're creating items on the fly. You may change your mind. You have an idea in your head and you may change it. That's okay. We're all allowed to change our minds. And I've deliberately not gone around the edges of these. I wanted these to be left kind of crisp and white. Because I want them to pop. You really don't need a lot of the glossy accents. We could have done with some tweezers though, because they're a wee bit fiddly. Okay, and the last one. There we go. I think we're done. I'm happy with those. So all I have to do now is obviously when they're all dry is just to fill in the series on the back of there. Look, I've stuck that one upside down. See, it happens to the best of us. It's the right way now. So I just have to put the title, which I'm going to call this series Baubles to You. Haha. So Baubles to You, I'll put the date and the number, my website address and everything's already on the back. So there you go. That one's the right way around, look. At least I got something right. So that's it. There are my 8 artist trading coins with my Christmas theme, created using old little wooden embellishments left over from last year. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of this video. And don't forget, there will also be a link to last year's 7 Days of Christmas. So if you haven't got the patience to wait for my days to come, you can go back and watch the videos from last year. It's all from me for now. I'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now.